welcome to the next episode of the Beach Court Podcast. We're back home from New Orleans, rested and starting to explore the Worlds format a little bit. But we're not going to talk about that this week just yet, but soon we will, coming up in the next episodes. This week, we're going to review our North American International Championship predictions from prior to New Orleans. We're going to discuss what Maddox and I and some of the group from Jacksonville played. Some of us played the same 60. We'll bring you some Pokemon trivia knowledge as always, and we'll also share our thoughts on NAIC and New Orleans as a whole. We're going to discuss where the community is going next, because right now we're kind of in a little bit of a down period, but we're going to bring you some fun content today. I'm your host, Eric Ridgway, joined as always by Parker Greenwald and Max Corcoran. Gentlemen, how you guys doing after NAIC's been gone about a week?
I'm doing good. I got the itch.
Got
Start
the itch
playing
to
some
play?
cards again. Yep.
Yeah. The positive itch. It's just a bummer that there's like no major until Worlds, right? I know last year we had NAIC in July and then and Worlds was in August and then first regional September. Now it's like this whole like month gap. Even like for they announced like, hey, we're gonna give you these promos so you can hold events because there's like no cups or challenges in June. So it's kind of like, what am I supposed to do with all this time now?
I mean, I think the weirdest part about this season is last year we got, regional dates right after NEIC was over. And this year, they're like, yeah, we'll be back in New Orleans. That's all you're going to get. But wait, Twitter's like, hey, there's events here, there's events there.
Yo, if you call the Baltimore City Convention Center, he'll tell you that Pokemon Regionals September 12th through the 15th. So book your tickets now if you want. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it's all like, oh, yo, I heard Peoria's in. I heard Peoria's out. Like, it's just a
Twitter has
buzz.
been in an uproar. They really just want the schedule, right? Because we get excited about the events. We like to book our travel. We like to have fun. Oh, we got Orlando back. We're starting to create a group together again. We had a large group last year. So
Yeah.
kind of a bummer that we haven't gotten that, but hopefully we'll hear from Pokemon soon. But what we do have for you is we can review our NEIC predictions and see who hit it off and who didn't hit it off. Let's review the results of the day one meta first, and then we'll run back through and see who got the most correct about decks 1 through 6. So day one meta, Lugia was number 1 at the top of the chart at 18%, followed
18.
by 18%.
That's kind of
Lugia.
whack, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
I guess everyone just has the cards, but
Everyone has the cards. They want to flip the coins. They're in New Orleans. They were at the casino the night before, ran it up a little bit and said, all right, we're just going to run hot with Lugia, which is why number
gonna
two
fly
deck.
high.
Number 2 deck was Raging Bull at 15%. Also another, I'm going to run hot, go fast deck. And then I think the deck that we all kind of figured out was a really good play for the tournament was Guardy was next. You can tell everyone figured it out at 14% Guardy. I think a lot higher than any of us had expected, just because Guardy's a tough deck to play, but people did bring it in force. Followed up by Lost Zone at number 4 for 9%, and Dragapult all the way down at 5th at 5.6%, followed by Miraidon at 5.3%. Maddox, before we jump into our predictions, what do you think about the results of the day one meta? Anything stand out to you?
I mean, I think the main piece that people were surprised by going in was just Dragapult, as low as it was, right? We eventually found when they did the best of the rest that Lost Zone Dragapult was around like 7th or 8th on the meta chart at around that, like, I think it was like 4.5%. So when you combine both the Dragapults, we're around 10%, which is kind of what we were expecting. But I think really just like, Guardy being a little higher than expected, Lugia being all the way up at 18 was a little bit of a surprise. And, but ultimately, like, a pretty diverse meta like we saw. Parker, I don't know what you thought.
Yeah. Lugia, like I figured out for Worlds, is always just strong into unknown formats, just because like putting 2 guys that accelerate special energies from your deck is like pretty good.
Pretty good.
I saw that for Worlds, so I played 4 of them at Worlds and didn't test against them at all. But yeah.
I mean, that's a good call out, right? I mean, Worlds 2023 was all about like Lugia day 1 and Mew VMAX day 2. Into unknown formats, and you say, hey, I have an inherently broken deck, and if I can do my broken things, then I will win. That's kind of what both of those decks just said, and ultimately what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lugia was flying high at the top of the chart. So let's review results. We're looking at 5 out of 6. Everybody got 5 out of 6 spots right. So all three of us tied. So give us all a pat on the back, whatever you want to do, a round of applause. Yay. So let's review. Parker, you had Lugia at the top of the charts. Ding, ding, ding. You had Raging Bolt number 2. Ding, ding, ding. Dragapult at number 3. Eh. They had
Well, if you
Lost.
combine both,
No, still
If you
no.
combine, I had Lost Box at number 4. You got that one correct. I had the wrong number here. I said 5 out of 6 on all these. I'm so wrong. You got 3 right. My bad. Why did I put 5 out of 6 there in my notes?
I think you meant like we
I
got
got
5 out of 6
on
of
the
total
chart.
decks, but not the
Yeah.
correct ordering.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was, Maddox.
Oh.
Thanks.
Yeah, where's Guardy in Parker's list?
So Guardy as at number 5 for Parker, and number 6 had Control. That was your
Control.
only miss. So you had 5 out of 6 decks correct, and you had 3 decks in the correct spot: Lugia, Raging Bolt, and Lost Box. Your winning deck that you chose was Gardevoir.
Absolutely.
So close, right there in the finals. We'll go to mine next. I did not do too well as far as picking order, but I did get 5 out of 6 decks correct. I said Raging Bolt was gonna be number 1. I said Lugia was gonna be number 2, Dragapult number 3, Guardy 4, Charizard 5, and Miraidon 6. For those of you keeping track, the only one I got right was a deck I was pooping on coming in, and that was Miraidon. So
Absolutely capping.
it did get 6th place, so I only got 1 right. My winning deck, I said, was Dragapult variant. Did not even make a top 8, so wah wah. All right, Maddox, up to you. Let's look at your results. You said Lugia number 1. Check that one off. Said Raging Bolt number 2. Check that one off. You said Dragapult number 3. No, didn't go that high. You had just put Guardy up one more. You had Guardy at number 4. So you got that one wrong. Charizard at number 5. He was still trusting in Charizard. That was incorrect. But he also had Miraidon at number 6. So you got that one correct. So for those of you keeping tabs at home, Maddox also got 3 correct in the correct order. All 3 of us got 5 out of 6 decks, and Maddox and Parker tied for 3 actual correct picks. But I think the biggest winner of us all, are you ready for it? Maddox said the winning deck would be Turbo Lost Box. And as you guys heard in our last episode from Andrew Hedrick, he did his thing and was able to find the win. Maddox, why'd you pick Turbo Lost Box coming into the event?
Yeah, I mean, again, my thought about it is just that it remains to be a strong deck that top players will continue to pick up. So even if it sees a lower percentage meta share, I don't even think I had Lost Box in my top 6. But I knew that like if there was a deck that top players are going to bring and show up with a cracked list of, Turbo Lost Box had a pretty good chance of that. And I just happened to be the lucky person that picked the deck that Andrew Hedrick happened to play. Because as we know, he is known for popping off with decks, and he did just that at NAIC.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good. So Parker, for you, the only deck you missed on was Control. Looking at day 2, we had 7 Snorlax controls. You had Pidgeot control. Kind of in that category, we saw Alessandro at the top of the charts coming into day 2.
Yeah.
Did not really finish super hot. So how are you feeling about your pick for Control to be in the top 6, once you saw the meta evolving and, day 2 decks popping up?
It's honestly like you have like a really good chance against everything, I think. I mean, like maybe like you could count out Lugia unless you're like discarding their jets or something, but like I think like every deck you do have to play well for most games. I mean, if you're playing lax, I guess you don't have to play as well because you just play your supporter, counter catcher, and then use Rotom.
Whoa!
But
There's a new complexity now, right? You got to play the flute properly.
oh yeah, true. Play the flute. But like Pidgeot control has a lot of layers. Like most of them, honestly, like are attacking now. Like it's got a lot of like really good things going for it, and it had a lot of really good things going for it going into the format. And I thought like that would just be like a pretty like Snorlax was kind of like a safe play, I think.
Yeah.
And like Pidgeot control was like a advanced play that like good
Right.
players with it would play kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you, I mean, I we'll talk about our runs in a little bit, but in day one, I'm seeing what's going on around me. I'm worried about Alessandro. I'm sitting over here like he's got the Giraffe Rig EX in his deck, and I'm like, what the heck does that thing do? Come to find out, no basics can hit it, and I'm like, oh God, please, like no. I don't want to play against this. Thankfully, I never had to, but he had a read on the room, and I heard they were kind of cooking the day before. A whole group of the control players in the corner. Like, how do we beat Raging Bolt? And that's the conclusion that they came to. So let's talk about Raging Bolt. Maddox, we had 7 people in our Airbnb. 5 of those 7 people decided to play the same 60. We worked as a group to come up with a good kind of 60 cards that we felt good with. But why do you think we ultimately decided on playing Raging Bolt Ogerpon?
Yeah, I think that with Raging Bolt, right? Again, when you think of these like quick beat stick decks and even something like Professor Sada's Vitality, you look at that, and I think for a while people looked at it and said, "Hey, this doesn't feel like a consistent enough supporter." I think what we found ultimately is that the deck was very consistent at the end of the day. You very easily got set up and started attacking. Yes, you were reliant on finding Sada for that early attack, but ultimately, when it came to a deck selection, we said, "Hey, here's a deck that is playing almost every game and can hit for unlimited damage." Plus, we added in a few techs to help deal with our tougher matchups, and then gave us a little bit of extra, strength of play. Opting for Prime Catcher as well as 2 Pokemon catchers to just really say, hey, we can continue to be aggressive and just try to run our opponent over before they ever get going.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Pokemon catchers and coin flip cards in general in our deck list that we were arguing about over dinner the night before. Maddox, what was the one spicy card that you wanted to include in Raging Bolt the night
Yeah,
before?
so I mean, again, so right, the no coming to a perfect 60 is not without any amount of last minute changes, last minute debates. I kind of had the thought even before I flew to New Orleans, this was like a Tuesday night, where I was like, hey, could Silene ever be a good optimal play in the deck? Really, right, we are considering a slot for Penny, really to help into Lost Box and to control matchups. Again, but with that idea of recycling resources. A lot of time in my prep and after my Portland run where I played Professor Turo and Mew, we kind of started to think of the idea on, hey, was this ever better as a Silene to help get back those stadiums, help get back those special energy, things like that. The case here is a little bit more of a little more of a high risk, high reward, where we say, hey, we still have the ability to get back those switch carts against the decks like control, but the added bonus of being able to get back other valuable tools like a bravery charm if we need it, Pokestop to help us see more cards, or even to
Prime
like
catcher.
put back Prime Catcher, of course,
Yeah.
right? So that adding a little extra element, I kind of came to the dinner table with the idea of saying, hey, what if we tried Silene instead of Penny? And the group quickly said, no, I don't want to flip coins. So
Well, that's not what we said, Maddox. We did say we wanted to flip coins, but when did we flip coins?
no, so this was after I already knew I was losing the argument. So Eric relented and said, okay, hey, if you flip double heads with 2 coins right now, we'll play it. So 25% chance to play it. Of course, in grand Silene fashion, they both came up tails.
So flip double tails. Silene did not make it in the deck list.
womp womp.
Womp womp. Parker, what do you think about that discussion? What do you think you'd have ever considered playing Silene over Penny?
Uh, I mean, honestly, yeah. Like, so I don't have as much experience with the deck. Um, but like once you're rolling, like you don't even need Sada half the time.
Yeah.
Like you draw enough and attach enough energies with just ogre pawns. And like you do need to play Sada a couple times a game, but like when it gets down to the end of it, you're like really digging. Okay, oh I gotta find a gust this turn. Like I already used my boss. I'm down a pal pad. I need a Silene, get that prime catcher pack or something like that.
Yeah.
Like you have a 50% chance of getting it back twice. So
Right.
I think it's pretty valid. And then you can get back, other cards, like,
Yep.
so I think it's fine.
So this thing like Pokemon Catcher, 50% of the time it works every time. Silene, 75% of the time it works every time.
Yeah,
I'm
but
just
it's a
saying.
supporter. No
Well,
thanks.
oh no, I put Prime Catcher on top of the deck. Wow, look, I win. Cool.
Oh boy, superior
Uh,
energy retrieval is
Yeah,
overpowered.
exactly. Yeah, like
Anyways, let's talk about a
chilling.
couple of the other tech cards we chose to include. Some consistency cards that we chose to include, and we knew we wanted early. We wanted more ball cards than just the 4 NS balls and the Pokemon. Kind of cut back a little bit on the Ogrepons. Only played 3 instead of 4, with 2 Ultra Balls to find those Pokemon early and get moving. We did include the enhanced hammer tech to help the Lugia matchup, getting rid of the Prime Catcher when they put it on the Ursaluna.
Legacy energy.
Oh, sorry. What did I say?
Prime Catcher.
Bruh. Well, put the
We
legacy
need that
energy.
though. If your opponent
Yeah.
plays Prime Catcher, negate.
True,
Oh, you're right.
actually.
Unfair
But
stamp negate. No, wrong card.
to get rid of legacy energy off of the Ursaluna was the real inclusion of why we wanted that, and it had other niche places to, help in other matchups. But if you face against a mist or something where it really mattered, there wasn't a lot of cases where it mattered. But enhanced hammer was enough to be matter against Lugia that we included it. And then we did include the 1 copy of Lost Vacuum to help against our Gardevoir matchup to take that swing 3 prize turn. There was merit to Temple. There was merit to Jamming Tower. There was merit to Lost City. But at the end of the day, all of those cards were excluded because you play Pokestop in your deck and you're going to discard them anyways. So unless you do include that Silene to get those back, it wouldn't really be worth it. And so we didn't at the end of the day. I'll tell you, playing this deck, one of the MVPs of this deck, and if you haven't played it and you're getting ready to play it, keep this in mind when you're playing your deck. Sandy Shocks is a baller. He's an MVP. He does the work. And we'll get to how its text is read. It doesn't hit for weakness, but it does hit for resistance. We'll talk about that in a second. It's kind of weird, but yeah. Maddox, you want to run through your quick tournament report on how your day went?
Yeah, sure. So, NAIC again, kind of locked into Raging Bolt, in hindsight, right, a little later than we wanted to, but ultimately still like a strong deck that, had some reps with and felt comfortable playing. I felt pretty good about the list. Our list was a little had a good number of techs, kind of hurting some of the consistency. You heard like the Parker head shake about the 3 Ogrepons. We made some choices kind of knowing it's the best of 3 and saying, hey, we need these pieces to go a little farther. So we're going to, tech out the list a little bit more. So ultimately I had a pretty solid start. I'm actually forgetting like my exact records of it all. It's been a couple weeks now, but
I think you
kind
started
of long story
3-1.
short, did I start 3-1? I remember I lost. I mean, I forget how
Thought we
early I
started
lost.
5-0 or
Well, I
something.
started 5-1.
That was me.
5-1. Oh,
So
yeah.
I don't remember. I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember which round
I
I
think
lost.
you lost
in.
round 4, I think.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Yeah, I had a pretty hot start. Really, and actually the funniest thing is I was sitting at 4-1 and my opponent in round 6 was late. I think just had some like trouble, finding the spot or whatever. But anyways, okay, I get that in a second. Basically, well, I won a quick game 1 against Charizard. It was kind of funny. I had all the good things out of the way. Turn 1, I squawked away my Prime Catcher. Game 3, I Sada. I milled 3 remaining Sada in the deck off of Pokestop, fun things like that. But still managed to win the set against Charizard. Lost to a Guardian that I couldn't set up against, and then from there just kind of like kept hitting good matchups. Was on a good roll. Won a mirror. Won a couple other favorable matchups. Round 6, I'm 4-1. My opponent shows up late at 4-1, which is like very abnormal. It was against a Gardevoir player, which is a tough matchup for me. So kind of got lucky about that. They showed up after 5 minutes, so we did play the set as we went into. I had won game 1. We were basically playing game 2. My opponent had to win game 2 and 3 in order to win. They had a little bit of a slower start. I was able to Pokemon Catcher KO their only Ralts. Kind of keep taking knockouts from there. They eventually go with the Drifloon KO, and then I Pokestop into, and I have Boss in hand. I Pokestop into my Vacuum. I'm able to pull off the Vacuum Way Drifloon, Boss Gardevoir. Opponent was rather upset, surprised that I played the Vacuum. But also, I mean, they're clearly flustered from the day. So I was at a 5-1. I'm feeling pretty good. Round 7, I kind of start to lose some of my energy. I definitely didn't feel. I wasn't very well rested. I had a hard time kind of getting to sleep the few nights before. So definitely I felt like it was around 7 that I was starting to kind of like lose some focus, unfortunately, like the most crucial times. So round 7, I take a tie against the Future Hands with Iron Thorns deck. The Iron Thorns kind of gave me some issues in game 1, so I ended up going to game 3. I had game on turn 4 of turns, but of course, right, we're still early in the day. That ended up as a tie. Before round 8, I lose my deck, so just kind of a whirlwind. I end up losing to a Lugia. I had kind of a pretty low odds loss at the end of game 1, kind of despite a slower start. Like Tails on a Pokemon catcher, didn't get the boss and I needed to shore up the game, things like that. But I still could have played a few things better there. We have a deck check after we had a delay because I lost my deck and was able to borrow a deck from a friend. Shout out to Asmo and Tally. And then basically and then lose game 2, just kind of a slow start, never really get rolling. Game 3, I'm at the winning in 5-2-1, trying to go into day 2. I win a long game 1, probably like a 35-minute game 1 against a Turbo Lost Box. Game 2, I'm like losing. I'm kind of behind early. I missed an attack. They were starting to be able to get to where they could chain Ursalunas. I didn't have a strong enough board. I kind of said, hey, we don't have a lot of time left. I'll scoop this game. We'll go to game 3. Made a quick gentleman's agreement. I'm going second. Time ends on their first turn. So I'm like, okay, I'm pretty favored here. I just need to be ahead on prizes. My hand is absolutely terrible. I have like Vessel. I like double Vessel just to thin the deck to Teal Dance for 1. Don't get anything good, so I'll only have the Ogerpon in play. So I'm like, okay, Ogerpon. I have attached to energy, attach a charm. I have Boss in hand, so I can just attach a grass and KO something next turn for game if you miss an attack here. And homie with winning in, clutched up, had 2 in the zone turn 1. Turn 2, he goes 3 in the zone
down.
plus Colress, finds his only a second vacuum in deck because he lost out in his first vacuum off the first flower selecting in the game to vacuum away my charm, hit him with a 5 energy Blood Moon Ursaluna KO. And at that point, I'm just like, hey man, you're the main character today. I'm not even upset. Like, I'm gonna go home and get some food. Like,
Yeah.
it was sick. So a little disappointed in my run after a strong start. I think definitely, I want to take a little better steps in my next tournament to prepare sleep wise and just energy wise, make sure I'm good to go throughout the rest of the day. And then there's a few other plays that I could have made throughout the day to do a little better. But ultimately, still had a fun time playing Raging Bolt. I really, really like the deck. I went 5-0 in the mirror between like NAIC and like the tournament we did the week before. So I feel like I'm good at Raging Bolt. Had a fun time with the deck. Would definitely continue playing it and still in the contention for Worlds and other future tournaments.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for sharing. I was standing behind him, Parker, like while this is happening. So I'm like looking at his hand, like I'm like, oh my God, this hand is so bad. No, he does the right thing, right? He checks his prizes a little bit. I'm like, Teal Dance for 1. I think he draw on the rod or something stupid. And I'm like, oh God, no. So he puts a charm on. I'm looking at the board today. I'm like, okay, the guy's got 2 in the zone. There's a charm on the active. It's the only Pokemon in play. So the guy can't like prime catcher KO with, something easy or whatever. He's got to find like literally everything with only 2 in the zone. Guy proceeds to get triple comfy, Colress, plus vacuum, plus double gate, and attach for a turn, plus another switch card to KO like the active.
Yeah.
And like you said, Max, he was the main character. That was crazy to see. I was just like, I was dumbfounded. I was like, there's no way you lose this when even as bad as that was with the situation. It was crazy.
Right, that's the greatest part about Pokemon. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
like I've had plenty of games I've lost this year that have been like, that was funny. Like like you got me. Like that's the cool part of the game. Like, you can have these amazing pop-off plays. And again, like that's what Turbo Lost Zone Box does, right? That's how it got 2 decks into top 8 and eventually won NAIC.
So this is the second time now that I can remember somebody getting double gate KO on you when you would expect them not to get it. When Dallas get the double gate KO on a Drapion.
Well, I was gonna shout about a second ago, but it wasn't double gate, it was gate plus double turbo.
Oh, gate plus
attachment.
okay, all right. Gate plus double turbo attachment off of like Iota 2 or something.
Yeah, with pattern play, yeah.
With pattern.
Well, it was Clara gate
Car gate
attached double turbo switch. I'm like, hey, all right, you got me beat. Like,
You got it,
can't
bro.
complain about that,
Okay, we'll move on. I'll go through my tournament run real quick. So as we said, we played the same 60. I sit down across my first round opponent, and she's having a lovely time. She's just, having a good time. She flips over a Chansey, and I'm like, all right, well, we're here playing this game. And I'm kind of breaking a little bit, but Chansey, I think Raging Bolt's very favored into for the Blissey EX deck. And so I was able to just kind of win a long game 1. Game 2, she didn't have much going on. That was kind of an easy round. Hit the mirror round 2, and we'll talk about the mirror in a moment. I think going second is correct, and apparently so did my opponent because they won the coin flip and went second. Game 1, he found Prime Catcher KO going second. Game 2, I found Prime Catcher KO going second.
Wow.
Game 3, he found Prime Catcher, but off of Squawk missed Grass Energy to just attach to Ogre Pond for KO. That was like the only thing he's missing off of Squawk. So extremely fortunate there. So after he misses that, I'm able to find the win. Then in round 3, I hit a Gardevoir opponent. Tough matchup, as we said, but we have teched for it. We know our routes. I went loss, win, win versus that Gardevoir, so I'm starting 3-0. Hit a future box, kind of like Maddox was talking about. He never got the thorns out. He does play it, but never went for it. So I was able to kind of like pretty much do what I wanted there. The penny put in the hard work on that matchup. I think I pennied 3 times that match or something like that. Yeah, because like they're just trying
But it couldn't have been that useful.
well, like they're just trying to set up like amps for 3, right? Like so, like
Yeah.
I literally like pennied 3 times that match. So
There's got to be a quicker line to win than that, right? Like, doesn't 3 Sadas just like get you there faster? Like,
no, because you need Sada plus boss, right? Because the Miraidon's in the active.
but you got
So,
Prime Catcher, you got Pokemon Catcher. No,
I mean, I just put the grass guy in the active and kept attacking with him and not even needing Sada and just playing Penny, and it was totally fine.
all right.
Anyways,
New
beat that.
line discovered.
Yeah, beat that. Hit an ancient box round 5. I'm like, oh crap, you know how this goes. You know, ancient box can be super scary for our deck. I just chased his moon down every game we played, like as much as I could, just like putting pressure on the moons. And that ended up winning me the match game 1, and then game 2 he kind of bricked a little bit. So again, this is like I'm 5-0, like through 5 rounds. I'm like feeling good, like my best start ever. I'm like, this is what I'm worried about hitting like Alessandro. Like I said earlier, I'm like, bro, I know he's around here, he's got the draft rig. But I hit Ryan Antonucci playing Gardevoir. Very tough match, as we know. We're kind of talking, and he felt pretty favored, which most Gardevoirs did. I was able to win game 1 without showing the vacuum. I'm not really sure if it's just because he was kind of slow start that game. I can't remember exactly how it went. But I won a pretty lengthy game 1. And then game 2, I find the 3 prize turn. So the route for Raging Bolt against Gardevoir is go second, take a single prize. Your second turn, take a single prize. And then they KO your Raging Bolt because you got to put your charms on there and they need to use vacuum, right? They need to use the charm. So then you go, okay, on that turn, you need to go charm, vacuum the charm, and then KO the EX to take a 3 prize turn. They still have 2 knockouts to do. And that puts them in a pretty bad shape when you take out that kind of board. So he was able to like kind of like play around, and like I was playing around my only attacker being Sandy Shocks in the end, and I knew that. So I knew how my deck was coming down to it. And I was like, okay, this is gonna have to be Pokemon Catcher for game. So I play Pokestop. There's the Pokemon Catcher because I know there's only 3-card deck and I know what's in there. So I flip a coin, flip heads, I'm like sick boss for game, and I have a blood moon, whatever you want to call it, moment. And I gust the Screamtail and not the Kirlia. And we knew in practice that Ralts was resistant to fighting. So I wasn't targeting a Ralts on purpose. But I didn't look at the Screamtail. The Screamtail's also resistant to fighting. So I lost game 2 and we tied. Maybe it's somewhat unfortunate because maybe if I win that, I go play Alessandro and have to work through that the next round. Who knows? Anyways, I'll speed up a little bit here. Round 7, so I'm 6-0. I'm sorry, 5-0-1. So again, I just need a win to lock up day 2. Hit another ancient box. I'm like, bro, not a second ancient box. Like it was like 2% of the room, and I hit 2 ancient box. This one did not go my way. It was a loss, kind of quick. He did, popped off, did everything. And then round 8, I hit a Lugia. Lost game 1, won game 2. Just kind of like donked his only Lugia game 2. And then game 3, he hadn't saw Hammer yet. So he went bear. I hit him with the Hammer KO plus Iono that turn. And it was really pivotal, turned the match around, and I was able to win. Round 9, I hit What's the guy's name that made
Lost
top 8?
Box.
Yeah, what's his name?
Oh, you hit Gantner?
Andrew
Yeah,
Gantner.
I hit Gantner. Yeah, I hit Gantner around 9. I prized Penny literally both games. Like game 1, like I was okay. I'll get Penny off the prizes eventually. It was in the top 2 of the prizes. Because if I have Penny game 1, I win game 1 because he kind of went all in on like putting damage on something. So if I have Penny, I just win there. But I don't. And then game 2, it's prized. Kind of goes the Blood Moon route, so a little harder to win that one. But loss. It's just like at that moment, my feelings are like very excited to make day 2 because I'm in day 2. But it's like going from 5-0 to 6-2-1. I'm sure most people that play this game know how that feels. And I've never been better than 6-2-1 in day 2, but we'll change that at Worlds. No big deal. So coming into day 2, I don't really have any kind of like super goals or like, okay, we're gonna go on a run here. Like whatever happens. Hit a Tallahassee friend, round 1, round 10 against Gardevoir. Ends in a tie. We kind of lost win tie. Hit a Gardevoir round 11, who just kind of like double brick both games, and I went win against that. Hit another mirror. So in that position, I'm like, okay, I got to win out to make money. So hit a mirror. And again, lost the coin flip. He went second. Just did the things. Lost, win, lost. I feel like when you go second in the matchup, we'll talk about this in a second. It's just like there's nothing that you can control except for putting a single prizer on the active. And if they find the pieces, then you just lose like almost 100% of the time. And it just feels so hopeless. And I know one of the games, like the first one, didn't help that I just kind of didn't have anything, couldn't get to the single prizer, even after a squawk. So, and sometimes that happens. But so I lost the mirror there. And then round 13 hit a Mariah. I'm like, okay, good. I'm still in money contention. This is a favorable matchup. Lost the game 1, won game 2, and then I get the game 3 Maddox, and like literally my game 3 hand was your round 9 hand. It's like I'm going second against Maridon because I chose to go second, and I got Vessel, Ogre Pawn, attach, Prey. And it's nothing, and I get donked, and so from there I just dropped because I'm out of the money, but that's fine. I think we gave the deck a good run. I do believe in the deck. It's very strong. There is some consistency things I would change if we were playing a best of 1. I think Parker's going to allude to that a little bit later, what he would do. But I think as a best of 3, there wasn't a single card I would have changed from this list, and I was very happy with it.
Good.
Yeah. So Parker, you're sitting at home. You got your 2 boys, 501 and 51. What thoughts are going through your head back in Jax? What's the group chat saying and stuff?
Dude, I was super hyped. I was like trying like my best like to get results and stuff. But yeah, I was super hyped. I was like, oh, they got it for sure. Like, I trust their
Sorry.
play and hey, man. I'm gonna be honest, I have never been even 3-0 at a regional. I always lose to like some like shit in one of the first 3 rounds. And like
It really do be like that sometimes.
I mean, I hit
Like,
Blissey EX round 1, so I know what you're saying.
I've never been 3-0 at a regional, I don't think.
literally my first 2 regionals I went to, I like lost round 1 to Gudra specifically. I'm like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
Gudra was a better deck then, though.
Hoodra was a better
That
deck.
it was, I mean, still pretty good, I think.
Mhm.
Maybe not.
So Parker, solve the debate. Raging Bolt Mirror. Are you going first or going second?
So I have very little experience with it. I played a mirror on Thursday against not a very strong player. No offense to them, but like I didn't know what he was playing, so I elected to go first. I was like, so I can attach if I don't, I can attack if I don't see Sada type thing, but I bricked like out of my mind. He just played cards until he had turn 1 knockout, and like I had
That's the deck.
yeah, I started like Teal Mask, like did the thing, like retreated into my Radiant Greninja and like passed. And like every turn he just played cards and it's like won. If I had to run it back, like obviously with a playable hand, I think you go second. Like, of course you don't know your hand, but
Yeah.
in a mirror match, I would elect to go second.
Yeah, I think like a little thing that changes the complexities there a little bit is like the Pokemon catcher count. Because when you just have Prime Catcher as an out to that early gust, I think it's like very doable to end, go first, say, hey, I'm gonna have a stronger setup because I have more attachments. You're not relying on Sada at that point. I do
Right.
think there's a world where it's like stronger to go first if you're less worried about that like turn one knockout. Again, the key is you have to retreat to a single prizer.
Yeah.
But now
Yes.
you're forcing your opponent to not only find Sada, KO, but then also a
Also a
Gust.
gust.
So and they can't play boss, right? They have to specifically play Prime Catcher or Pokemon Catcher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's definitely merit to both. Like if I was saying with my board, if I had been able to like have a raging bolt on my bench and like attach lightning and then like next turn attach fighting, like I could have, taken a return KO without, you
Asada.
know,
Yeah.
without Sada,
Yeah.
but didn't happen. But like so there's definitely merit to both.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely felt like you said, Maddox, with the Pokemon catchers in our deck, like that's why I was like thinking like all week and like I'm going second if I know I'm playing the mirror. And also, like I was choosing second blind against anything. Like, there's not many matchups that I would choose first. Maybe like Lugia
Mhm.
would probably be like the only one. But like there wasn't a matchup that I really wanted to go first against, except for Lugia with this deck.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up picking first when I could most of the time in the mirror. Just because I felt like that there was the extra consistency that you get from getting those attachments. It just gives you a little more flexibility and a little more energy on board type of thing. Again, being able to treat into a single prizer is a big deal. I also found that like, I mean, I think ultimately the mirrors that I was able to win was ultimately even if I did fall behind that attack, saying, "Hey, I play Iono. I'm going to set up my board in such a way that I'm ready to go, and I'm going to try to deny your ability to respond," which I think
Yeah.
is ultimately what the deck struggles with as a whole. So being able to mix in that element in the mirror, I think is important, right? The Iono, I think, is
Yep.
very key for that. A second one would have been kind of cool to have, but just the room was so like the list was so tight on space, and there's so
Yeah.
many other cards that we wanted, like if we're attacking in a penny and if we want the Pokemon catchers, right? There just isn't room for that second Iono because really you just want to find it towards the end of the game, but if you play two, then you're going to find it early, and you don't want to find it early. You want to find other cards early. So that's kind of what it came down to, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. Well, let us know in the comments what you think. If you should go first or second in the Raging Bolt mirror. Happy to hear from you and have some discussion there. But we'll move on to our next topic, which is Pokemon trivia. But before we do, we gotta give a shout out to Nakama Anime Cafe for their continued sponsorship and support of our podcast. This is a big month. This is our yearly, I guess it's a new, like, what's the word that I'm looking for where it's annual? There's a word
Annual.
there. That word. Yeah,
So,
maybe it's just annual. Who knows? Anyways,
It's annual.
their annual second annual Pokemon rave is this coming next weekend on June 29th at Nakama Anime Cafe. And they got some awesome music that Josh will be laying down for us and we'll be vibing to and having a good time. So hopefully come out and join us at Nakama Anime Cafe here in Orange Park, Florida.
Pokemon Rave is a blast.
Max, well, I see you there.
Oh yeah, of course. Parker's got to pull up.
Parker, you coming?
Yes, I should be.
You know it.
Squad.
Anyone who enjoys drinks, they have lots of Pokemon flavored or Pokemon themed drinks. They're not Pokemon flavored. I don't even want to imagine what that would taste like.
Yeah,
But
Pokemon themed fruit punch. Yes. All right. Moving on. Are you guys ready for some Pokemon trivia?
No.
Maddox, I was talking in the hallway kind of a little bit about what I might do.
I
Do you
didn't
think
actually look it up if you did do that.
I
So,
did do it, but not with that set. We're gonna go back a little bit.
oh,
And we're gonna
bro.
test
Oh,
some knowledge.
how
Anyone who
much?
hasn't turned into trivia, right? Whenever there's a new set, Eric just loves hopping in and saying like, "Oh,
How
yo, how
many
many EXs
EXs
are
are in
there?"
this set?
Because you know the main ones, but there's also a bunch of like bulk EXs that you never really know. So, anyways, for anyone who
So,
hasn't seen this segment, let's see what question and what set Eric's throwing at us today,
all
and
right.
we watch Parker and I fluster about it.
Maddox, when did you start playing again competitively? What set?
I mean, like that's kind of competitively,
Yeah.
like Lost Origin, Silver Tempest.
Okay. Maddox started playing around Lost Origin. I started playing back around Sword and Shield base set. So we're throwing back the Sword and Shield base set.
Oh,
Oh
God.
my gosh.
And within 2, plus or minus 2, how many Pokemon V are in this set?
So real quick, are we going like adventure discovery definition of a Pokemon V, or including V Maxes or
Yes,
just Vs?
yes. V
Including V
Maxes.
Maxes? Oh brother.
V Maxes are a Pokemon V.
All right.
All
Okay.
right, Parker, drop the knowledge.
Zacian.
I gotta write these down. We got ways
Okay.
to write.
Yeah, get it.
Start
I
typing
don't
them
have.
out.
Yep.
I'll start typing some out. So we got
Okay.
Zacian and Zamazenta.
Zamazenta, Stonejourner V and VMAX.
Wait, hold on. I have to jump in here. Max, are you gonna let Parker carry you or are you gonna contribute?
Whoa, I'm writing the list, man. Give me a
Yeah,
break.
he's
We got
carrying.
Eternatus V, Eternatus VMAX.
That's not out yet.
Oh wait, we're talking base set. I was thinking D block. Yeah, you're right.
All right. It is just Sword and Shield base set, right?
Yeah,
Was
base set.
Charizard out in
No.
base set?
Nope. So Lapras V, Lapras V Max.
Oh, okay. Here we got Snorlax though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snorlax was Eternatus before Eternatus, I guess, kind of. So Snorlax V and V Max.
Bro, that card with the crazy code was so much fun.
Gosh, I'm trying to think. I think Cramorant V was Rebel Clash.
Well, that I remember they had a shiny one that came out.
Yes, but like the original one, I remember at the very end of the format, like Cephalon decks or like Welder decks used to play it.
Yep.
It killed the Denes on the bench.
Yep, it killed it's on the bench. Yep.
But I don't remember if that was Rebel Clash.
Getting carried hard by the gym leader in this one.
Come on, Maddox. Come on, you got some Sword and Shield knowledge. You played the video game. Come on, man.
I mean, like what, like Pikachu, Eevee, like were those in this one yet, or is that a later set? I mean,
No,
like
it's
it's
a
like which
later
sets?
set.
That's what I mean. Like,
yeah,
I remember Snorlax VMAX because that was a big one where it's like this is the new like
Yeah.
HP king.
Yeah, it was.
yeah. I think Galarian Stunfisk V.
Okay, that's I remembered that card because at one point it did see minor play in UV Max decks.
Really?
Yeah, because it's steel type, hits Comfeys for weakness for KO with the double turbo.
Yep.
And it did something else, I think. I know we're still in the segment, but I gotta see what this attack does.
Are you cheating?
Yes.
You
I'm
cannot
not cheating.
cheat.
I just want to look up what the attack does.
Yeah, but you're gonna look at the card and it's gonna say what set it's from.
Okay, whatever.
Cheating,
Anyways,
bro.
trapping bite 60 and puts 12. Oh wait, actually, yeah, that's kind of that's actually pretty bad still, but hey, it's something.
There's got to be more junk V's. I think
All right, so how many are you up to now, Maddox?
We're not got Zacian, Zamazenta, Stone Turner V and V Max, Lapras V and V Max, Cramorant. Oh, sorry, Snorlax V and V Max, and Cramorant V maybe.
Okay, I'll give you one hit. There is one more VMAX in the set.
Anything dumb like Cinderace V Max out yet? Actually, it's probably all stars at the same time, right?
No. Yes, those are all Rebel Clash. Those are Rebel trash. One more VMAX. Gosh.
So this is us trying to remember like the Gyarados EXs and like the Arcanine EXs of like Scarlet Violet base set.
Extreme.
VMAX.
I'll give you one more hint if you don't get it, because I think you should get this one.
Yeah, go ahead, hit me with it.
Yeah.
It is a lightning Pokemon.
That's what I thought.
It's not Pikachu. Not Zero or anything. I only had a Bolton VMAX, at least it wasn't out yet.
No, Toxtricity wasn't.
Did that even get a VMAX?
Clash. Yeah, it did. It was Rebel
Toxtricity, yeah. Well, Toxtricity wasn't.
Another lightning type.
Oh god.
Would have been Tapu Koko, right? I mean, that was a different.
That was Battle Styles.
That was way later.
Those of you that are like in the chat, like, oh my god, it's this VMAX, please let us know right now because they need some help.
Bro, who cares about who's about Sun and Moon? No, wait, I can't even say the set name. It's just Sword and Shield.
Okay.
It didn't kill ADP, so no one cared. That's all I'm saying.
Pretty much, yeah, actually.
All right. So let me see what more hints I can give you. It's
Oh, I know it. It's
Oh,
more
oh, wait,
Pecco.
wait.
It's more Pecco.
there
Right?
you go.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Wait, was Crobat out in the set?
Not yet. That actually came out in Shining Fates.
Okay.
Now Chroma came out before that.
Is
Didn't
it?
I think it came out.
Crobat VMAX? No, I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
it was-
VMAX. Yeah, no VMAX. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, Crobat V. Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
That was
Darkness
Sounds
of
like a
Blaze.
setup. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so just like is this just an every set thing where like the first set is like nothing good and the second set has like, oh, now we have some good stuff.
No, Zacian was.
Well, Zacian
Zacian
was
was like
good.
so good.
That card was $35.
I made Lapras work for a while. That was fun.
I'm just saying, like with Scarlet Violet base set, we got like Gardevoir EX, busted card. Just got 6 of the top 8, right? Like we know it's a good card. But then like it was the second set where it's like, oh yo, now we got actual decks. We got like Chen Pao, we got Iono, we got things that people care about, right?
All right, what's your count at, and where are we going? Where are we moving with it?
Let's see. Okay, so the one like so Cramorant V, Stunfisk V, are those?
I think they are. I think they're both
Okay.
in it. Red.
I know
Regirock
Stunfisk
V.
isn't because I cheated, but we'll keep it on the list for transparency's sake. What was the other one you're saying?
I think Regirock V.
What?
I think.
Where's the rest of the Reggies?
No, they didn't have one. I think it was just Regirock, and it had like an attack where like I think it was like an outrage attack.
I hope you're right.
I'm pretty sure because I think I tried to play it in something.
Okay, so we got Zacian, Zamazenta, Stonjourner V and VMAX, Lapras V and VMAX, Snorlax V and VMAX, Morpeko V and VMAX, Regirock V, Cramorant V, and Stunfisk. Galarian Stunfisk, which is in base
You guys
set.
haven't touched anything grass.
There's no grass Pokemon.
Yeah, grass Pokemon don't exist.
No. Okay, so anyway, so we're at 14. So we definitely missed like 2 bulk ones, so we'll just call it 16 and call it a day. Does that work? Or if we think that Cramorant and Stunfisk aren't right, we lower it down a little bit and just say we met in the middle.
I think we're fine there. I gotta rack my brain because I think there was a. I think
We're
there
almost
was a
out of
dark
racking
one.
time, right? The
Yeah,
commenters
yeah.
have blown up the comments so much that they're ready to like.
I think there was a dark one.
I said Eternatus.
Eternatus is later.
Let's talk about how there's like a bulk Darkrai EX that like literally does nothing. So unfortunate.
Nah.
Eric, you're pretty bad Jeopardy host if you're not like cutting us off at this point. You're
Yeah,
making the sound
I'm
and
giving you a second. I'm giving you a second.
Right.
We're almost there.
Let's say 16.
The
'cause
audience can only take so much struggle.
Yeah, we're struggling hard.
What's your final answer?
So we're at 14 on the list right now with all the ones we've talked about, Parker.
Yeah.
So
I think we just 16. We probably missed a couple.
Yeah, I'll lock in 16. That sounds like a good number of like V's. Actually, well, wait, we're including V maxes. Is that enough? Yeah, there's only one more V max. I think let's lock in. I think 16 is fine. Let's send it.
Dude, hold.
He said plus
on.
or to -2.
Max,
Okay, plus or -2, so we do have that.
I give you plus or -2. Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. I think there's like a shit fucking like.
Whoa.
I'm trying to...
see what bulk V's make you do.
Wait. There was a dark one.
10, 9,
Let's play with the
8,
Sableye.
7.
Ooh, was there a V
Okay.
max for it?
No, just the
Just a
V.
V. So say 17.
17. Okay,
Plus or
I
minus
think
2.
I'm good with 17.
Sure, yeah. Let's send it. 17.
You guys
17.
locking in 17?
Sure.
Yes.
Have you not watched a struggle enough?
You are incorrect with your plus and -2.
Damn.
There is a total of 21 Pokemon V and V Max in the
21.
set.
Bro,
Pokemon.
these
let
aren't
me-
even real Pokemon.
Let me
I'll
run
bet
through
you.
some of the Pokemon that you missed. Celebi V, Delmise V,
Who would remember these Pokemon?
Torkoal V,
Oh,
Victini V. You should remember Victini.
oh I should
Okay,
remember
yeah,
Victini.
yeah.
But the VMAX didn't come out till later, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Keldeo V,
Okay. Who's
Tapu
got-
Koko V, Wobbuffet.
I said that. I said
Okay.
Tapu Koko.
Okay, well,
I mentioned it.
I'm just running through what I thought you missed.
I forgot there was 2 Tapu Kokos.
Wait, there was 2? Oh wait, was the original
One-
Mew V in this list?
No.
No.
Wobbuffet V.
No
Wobbuffet.
shot. That's a real card. That's a fake
What does
card.
Wobbuffet do?
I'll bet you no one has ever opened a Wobbuffet V. That can't possibly be a real card.
And DDV.
Yo, he has gritty comeback.
Wait, that's not an attack.
No, he does.
Wait,
He's-
what? Wait, this isn't real. He almost looks like he's doing the gritty too.
I saw this. This did actually get fringe play. I remember this card kind of.
And DDV is another one that you missed.
What? That's not.
And Cramorant V was in the set. I'm not sure if you included it in your list or not, but it was in the set. And Stunkfish was not. Thank you, Maddox, for cheating during our trivia segment.
I have to remember what the attack did because it's all fringe play.
Doesn't
and music attack
DDV
someone.
do like catch these hands or something?
Has watch over.
Oh,
Deal
okay.
20 damage from your active Pokemon.
There was an Indeedee that we like used for a while that had like catch these hands attack. Remember that
Catch
one?
these
Edie.
There was an Indeedee.
hand kinesis,
Yeah, hand kinesis. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
his battle styles.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Like you would use stuff like just build your hand. You go like bop for 200 with like 20
Yeah,
cards in
I remember
hand.
that. Yep. Yep.
I'm still not over gritty comeback of Wobbuffet V.
All right, so those of you that were playing along at home, let me know if you got it right. Plus or minus 2. You need to be at 19 or 23 to get it right. But yeah, that was fun. Sorry I had to go back in the tank there and put you through some pain, but Sword and Shield was a fun set. That's when I started playing competitively again. Right before Crobat and Eternatus came out. And so all right, well, let's move on. For those of you that are listening on our podcast platforms, I'm going to be showing my screen now on YouTube. So please come over to YouTube and watch, subscribe, like while you're there. Let me get my page back up because I just closed it. We're going to talk about the North American International Championships results as a whole. We did touch on our last episode with Andrew Hedrick. Went pretty deep with his deck list. Overall, Gardevoir was very heavy in the top 8, really dominating top 8. It was a Gardevoir format, and we were just kind of living here. What do you guys think about the results from the North American International Championship, specifically the top 8 and Gardevoir dominance? Parker, what do you think?
Well, I am not surprised that a lot of Gardevoirs made top 8. I'll get that out of the way. I thought like some bolts would run hot enough because that can just pop off. I thought there'd be a Lugia player in there at least.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if Dragapult would be there, but like I'm a little surprised to see like Chen Pao placing higher than Dragapult. But Chen Pao's good.
Yeah, Moffat took it to the promised land.
That he did.
Max, what do you think about top 8?
I mean, again, right? We knew Guardy was a very good play. We knew lots of top players were going to show up with Gardevoir, and you saw that, right? The Australian crew had an incredible showing with their Gardevoir list.
Yep.
We saw other top players showed up with it and continue to do very, very well. I think just what the sheer quantity, right? Like you expected it to do well, but you didn't expect like everyone playing it to do well, which is almost what it felt like. So again, I think clearly just the best deck in the room, the deck that can beat every other deck, and it showed that.
Yeah, I mean, the Monkey Dory was putting in a lot of work in a lot of different matchups. And we saw how strong it was in the finals versus even Hedrick, just to put the pressure on and say, hey, I'm going to try to KO 2 prizes in 1 turn over the course, of 3 turns. But Hedrick was able to pull it out in the end and bring it home for the Americans. So congratulations to Hedrick. But we did see a lot of Gardevoir in the top 8. And the day 2 overall, we did have a lot of Gardevoir. There was 62 Gardevoir players in day 2, making up 21% of the meta share. Lugia at 16%, being the second most popular deck, but not a top 8 finish. And if we go back to results, the highest placing Lugia deck was not a Lugia deck that we were used to seeing. This deck, guys, has no Shinchinos. And this is our highest placing Lugia deck. Alex Shemansky and his team kind of were cooking a little bit. What do you think about this Lugia variant? Maddox, I know there's a little old familiar friend in here you might be a little scared of, but Drapion V came back and he was fighting.
I mean, honestly, right? This is probably the most useful that Drapion V has been since it's been released. Honestly, like wasn't good against Mew Max, but it does KO Gardevoir in one shot, right? So basically, I mean, and again, interesting list here. I think that Alex Shemansky and his team correctly identified that Iron Hands is very very good. Some might call it broken. What is bad though is that when everyone knows that Lugia is very good, and when you play Legacy Energy as your only way to attack with it, and they play Enhance Hammer, and now you just have useless Iron Hands. So they really doubled down on just allowing Iron Hands to attack consistently. When 2 Iron Hands, the Legacy Energy plus the 2 Lightning and the Vessel to help find it. In order to make room for all this, they had to unfortunately cut the Cinccino line that lots of people love. But when you need to deal with Gardevoir, just play a Drapion for 4 colorless. You're KOing it with a basic. So I think an interesting way to set it up, and honestly, right, saw a lot of success with it.
Yeah, I mean, even with 2 double turbos on Drapion, it still KOs a Gardevoir EX. So
Not
pretty,
quite. You need one.
isn't
You
it?
need no, it's 190.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's
170,
190.
150. Oh yeah, you're right.
Well,
Yeah,
if they
yeah.
have damage on it,
If
you
they
can
have
KO the
damage,
Gardevoir.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so pretty interesting deck here. We'll talk about it later, but I'm very excited to try out this deck later. The one of Thornton in the deck I think is very interesting. To be able to find, Ursaluna again or Weirdeer, or Drapion if you have to discard it early off the Carmine or Research. Interesting to see them favoring 2 Carmine and 2 Research. But yeah, I really like this list. This is something that I'll be trying out at some point. I don't love no way to find the Vessel or the Lightning when I need it, but if Legacy
You
Energy's in the deck,
you find the
find
lightning
it.
with the vessel. So
Well, you got to find Vessel somehow, right? And there's no like Irida or anything like that. Is what I'm trying to say, right? So
yeah.
like Irida could be cool in this deck, since you play the bundle as well to also attack with Iron Hands. So Irida's a card I would experiment with in this deck, but yeah, I really like the list. Parker, what do you think about this Lugia list? I know you love flying high whenever you're flipping those coins.
I think it's very interesting actually, like as an interesting take. I think the Thornton like goes pretty hard. I mean,
Yeah.
like Luminion one turn, and the next turn you go, Thornton your Luminion into the bundle you already used and gust something up, or like,
Yeah.
there's like a ton of plays because all of your Pokemon, I mean, outside of Archeops are basic.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
it's like it's pretty. I think it's pretty
It's
straightforward.
like,
and
oh
just
no, you
good.
killed my only Lugia. Thornton.
Yeah.
Revolve the V-Star something's.
And I'm sure that
Uh,
probably happened during the tournament.
I'm sure it
Oh, yeah.
did, yeah. What about you guys? Any other spicy decks you want to call out that are kind of top 32 or did well?
Well, we got to talk about the most consistent Dragapult list, being Jacob I's 14th place Regidrago V-Star.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Lead us
Yeah,
off.
I mean, again, right? Just a deck that we had kind of seen a little bit about, and then really, we know about Regidrago. We know it's cool, and every time a Dragon Pokemon comes out, this deck gets a little bit better. But I think really the part that put it over the edge was the Two Mask Ogerpon, giving you a way to like reliably put energy into play. And just playing the 4 energy switch, saying, "Hey, I'm gonna use Ogerpon to start drawing some cards, and then just start powering up Regidragos." Plus, you have the power of Dragapult to go and say, "Hey, I will get to a quickly Phantom Dive with my Regidrago." Again, Dragapult Phantom Dive, very, very good attack.
Yep.
But then also, with you putting all this energy into play with Ogerpon and having this ability to do so, throwing a Raging Bolt, and now you have Bellowing Thunder. Take
Yeah.
a big infinite damage knockout at the end of the game. So,
Yeah.
really cool list. I've been playing this online a little bit, just kind of having some fun with it. Legacy Star, very, very good ability. VS Seeker, one of the most powerful cards in the game, lets you get a supporter back. Legacy Star lets you do that, but it also lets you get back your energy switch or attackers or an energy or kind of whatever you need, or Prime Catcher, right? So there's a lot you can do with this.
Yeah. What do you think about the Cleffa in the list, Max?
I think an interesting inclusion. The hard part, I think, is just like getting to it.
Right.
I think really the Cleffa is for like a mid-game reset, if anything, right? Which is kind of like, obviously if you start it, then great. I think just having like the ability in mid-game to, if you don't have a lot going, to be able to go into that Cleffa and just reset the hand, right? You see it a lot in some other decks, such as like Charizard, where sometimes like mid-game Cleffa can kind of get the resources they need. In some matchups, right, just being having that ability to go and reset your hand after like an unfair stamp or something like that, I think is valuable. Again, it does take your turn to do that. Again, unlikely to start with it, but if you get the right pieces too, it's very good. And I mean, yeah, Cleffa's a good card. I think also worth noting the Ogre Pawn, right? You know, you kind of have a good starter in saying, okay, I have the 4 Ogre Pawn, the Mew, and the Cleffa that all lets you get into your Cleffa. Raging Bolt's a bad starter, and then the Regidragos are kind of bad starters. But like more often than not, you're starting something that can retreat for 1
Yeah.
energy or less into Cleffa.
Yeah, true. Parker, what do you think about Regidrago going forward? Good deck?
It's definitely cool. It's definitely fun. I just like I think if you're trying to play like a Bolt deck, like why not just play Bolt, honestly? But
Oh, you want to play Bolt, not Bolt. Oh wait, you want
right,
Bolt, but now you
right.
want
I
Bolt.
know
No,
Now
I'm
you
you
playing
want
Gudra.
I know you Bolt and
no.
Gudra.
I'm Noivern locking you.
Yes, you can do all of these things, right? But I think like if your strategy is to go in and say, "Hey, I'm gonna try to bolt stuff," I would just play the bolt deck.
True.
But the deck's definitely cool. I think I feel like you lose to bolt
Yeah,
just because
probably.
they're like knocking you out turn one.
Yeah, probably.
But like everything else, you have a pretty solid shot against.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the one thing this deck does gain going into next format is the Kyurem that's coming out that can attack, for is it 120 on all three things?
110 to 3 things, and
110
you
to
discard all the
110.
energy.
things.
110 on three things if you discard all the energy. Pretty steep cost, but this deck can use it, and we'll see if it becomes good in the Worlds format. But let's take a look back at our results. Parker, what's a deck that you had your eye on?
So I had Limitless open with the list, and I don't know what happened, but it closed.
It's okay. I have it here.
So I am not a Maridon supporter, but I have to
Oh,
say I do like Ian Rob's list. I think it's like pretty tricked out. I did see some decks playing 2 Zapdos, so you could turn one a bolt, but
yep.
like you have the bear, he plays the future booster capsule to hit the
Pidgeot.
140 on
Yeah.
Pidgeots and Lugias. Um I think it's super solid. Honestly, like I might try it out. I just don't really like Maridon, but definitely a well put together list, and you know seems solid. Because I was thinking like you attack with Raichu, like you're not attacking for the rest of the game basically, unless you just like are hitting
Yeah.
nuts off your generators. But
No, you
I
definitely
forgot.
need Ursaluna.
Yeah, I forgot Ursaluna was a card, so like that's is the fix for it basically.
Yeah, I mean, even with the double turbo, it does 220. So
Yep.
you can attack even sooner with that.
Yep.
Yeah, I really like this Maridon list. I mean, it's close to what I would have played, probably minus the booster capsule and plus something else. I think you have to have the Thorns for the Lugia matchup. Maddox and I keep going through a great debate. We'll have a we'll have a series at some point. We'll stream it somewhere. Maddox believes that he can beat me in a best of 9 if I play Lugia playing Maridon. I said deal, as long as you're not playing Iron Thorns, I will take that
It's
matchup.
already scared, already looking for
Oh,
conditions, ways out.
I think the Iron Thorn swings the matchup, but without it, I believe that Maridon is actually unfavored into Lugia, and I will stand on that hill.
Cool. Let's see how the best of 9 goes, buddy.
Yes, sir. All right, so let's take a look back at our New Orleans results and our day 2 statistics. Any last thoughts on things that kind of stood out to you? I know a bunch of people have already kind of hashed this out across the podcast community. I don't want to, do too much, but anything stand out to you?
um, how many? It says 7 Giratinas were in day 2. What was the highest
7
placing one?
I haven't heard about Giratina.
72nd place. Howdy world.
Alberto Conti still rolling up day 2 with it.
Conti. Played 2 temples.
Jamming Tower. Wow.
Really respecting Lugia.
Yeah, I mean Lugia is like his first matchup, kind of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible. But I mean the 4 Jets and the 2 Temple, right? That's how tough Lugia is.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, just like just the lack of synergy, but like you're not putting Temple down until
Two
late anyway.
Sableye is
So.
cool. I like two Sableye a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure.
Yeah, didn't
What was
hear
the
a
highest
lot.
placing list? Anything interesting in
72nd.
Anything interesting there?
Let's check.
Give some respect to Addy.
Yeah,
Play
unfair
fault.
stamp. I
Ooh,
love
there we
that.
go.
I love that.
Oh, and he got the bundle. I kind of like this.
I don't know about the bundle though.
What do you mean bundle's a cool card?
3
And this,
rods,
I
2
like the
vacuums.
3. I love the unfair stamp. I think unfair stamp is low key belongs in Giratina because you want to be that Roxanne Path deck that you no longer have access to. So why not play 2 Roxanne and a stamp and just stamp them early?
True.
You know, I kind of
Yeah.
like it. I like it a lot. And
But
nice
having to go
list.
like a stamp and then like what's your follow like Abyss Seeking if you don't have
Yeah.
a strong
I
follow
mean,
that's pretty bad.
I stamp Abyss Seeking sometimes just fine. Okay, so looking here, we got some Goldangos. I know JW Crew, you know, Mahone and them played it. So JW, I think, finished in the top 32.
Mhm.
Nope, I made it 2, didn't finish top 32, but I think they played the same list here. Yeah, they did.
Pedro Fernandez from Florida.
Yes, Hernandez.
Yep.
With the Rever Room tech.
There you go. Got a Jose Morero list
Yep.
shout out.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, I really liked where New Orleans was. I think New Orleans was a great location for the Pokemon trading card game community. I'm happy to be going back next year. There's some things that I didn't get to do that I would have liked to do. But Max, what do you think about NEIC as a kind of a hosting location? And you excited to be going back next year?
Yeah, a lot of fun there. I have some family in New Orleans, so I went in a little early to catch up with them. So it was a nice time there again. And just since going there as a kid, it's a spot that I've always enjoyed. There's lots of great culture, lots of great music, lots of great food. And again, I got to do all those things that I enjoy with a bunch of my friends and also play some Pokemon. So I'm always going to be a big supporter of New Orleans as a Pokemon location.
Yeah, I will say the beignets were like amazing. I was thinking like, oh, you know, they're just beignets, they'll be all right. No, they were like heaven and totally worth it when you go. Parker, hopefully you'll be there next year with us.
Yeah.
Yay.
Beignet. Already qualified for Worlds. We'll see you there. Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk a little bit of news about what's coming up for our Pokemon community, even locally and you know around the globe. So Parker, I think you have some news from the Pokemon leagues and league cups coming back. What do you got for us?
So pretty much, I guess today they announced officially. I mean, like we were like everyone was pretty sure they wouldn't really change much, but like as of right now, they basically haven't changed anything. You can now sanction your Pokemon League challenges for July through September
Let's
and your
go.
cups as well. Just a small change to VGC. They did away with Premier Challenges and Midseason Showdowns, and now they have VGC challenges and cups, which is interesting. Hopefully that means that there'll be more tournaments because
Yeah,
those previously were kind of scarce. But now that all leagues have access to them, so long as they've in good standing and have like cup and challenge permissions for like Go and TCG, like they can host VGC now. But
yeah.
yeah, basically this season, or I guess quarter, is going to span from July 1st to September 30th. So,
All right.
Back at it.
Yep, back at it, back on the grind.
So
Probably
you're
try to-
telling me I now have to go back to cups and challenges again, man?
Yeah,
But no,
I love
We're
I'm
always
excited.
going.
I
It's
know.
fine.
I'm excited. We'll be there. In July, we'll be there. But what decks are you taking to the cups right now? If you had to say, what would you play in July? Parker, give me two decks that you'd like to play.
So one like Raging Bolts is just like usually you're like drawing stuff. It's like very strong, very fast, pretty linear. It's like sort of hard to misplay with it.
Like, there's
You'll
no way
just
you wouldn't not play the teammates list to the cup, right?
teammates.
You know, your
Oh.
teammates. You know, your
Oh,
boys.
I was like,
Bro, of
what?
teammates, reprint
CLC?
teammates.
I know, right? You're taking our day 2 list to cups and challenges in July, right?
Honestly, I wouldn't. I would take something
Bruh.
closer to like the 13th place list that Brandon Salazar played, where it's just like four shoes.
Bruh likes the shoes.
I mean, you just want like your highest chance at playing the game every turn and
Yeah,
or every game, and you will definitely just win games off of that.
true.
Especially in a best of one, like our list was very teched. Brandon
Yeah.
Salazar, shout out to him down in Orlando, Florida as well. Great finish to the list. Again, just like consistent, no frills, just saying, hey, I'm gonna go.
Yeah. Parker, what's another list you'd play to Cups in July?
Um, Good old comfy flower selectors.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Stop flower selecting.
No, impossible. It's one of the more endurable decks for me. It should be pretty consistent and strong, really rewards good play. You should be able to make it through Swiss pretty decently. You
You're
know,
telling me nobody played Ogie Dogie till I made day 2 at NEIC?
that's what I'm saying.
Bro, what the
That's
heck?
tragic.
Bro, you leaked the sauce.
Tragic.
It could have been you.
It could have been me. It could have.
So sad. So tragic.
Dang. Someone's gotta get there.
Someone's got to get there.
Exactly.
Maybe the worlds. We'll see.
Maybe.
All right. Moving on, Parker. Thank you for those decks. Maddox, what decks would you play to Cups and Challenges in July?
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of have like two sides of the coin of like a deck that I'd want to play to cups and like locals and locals in your spots. Again, if you're trying to win, there's kind of two sides of it here. There's one where it's saying, hey, the decks that just won and did very well are Turbo Lost Box and Guardy. So if your local area, you have a bunch of people that are going to go and pick up those decks and try to play those to success, then what you need is a deck that has a very, very good matchup into both of those, just gets going quickly and is consistent. So I'm actually going to take Ian Robson right on list. I have that sleeved up, ready to play that to some locals. Again, just saying you can very aggressively get Iron Hands EX out and ready to go. You play your 2 double turbos, and also gives you a little bit of extra way to play. You got the Mew EX. You can do some funny things with that. You got your heavy baton. You got your Blood Moon Ursulina. Right, just a lot of options. Iron Bundle. Right, different ways to kind of mess up the board for your opponent and just really be aggressive and take some prizes. Because ultimately you got to take prizes to win games. So
Do you?
well, okay,
You don't have
you don't have to, but if you do happen to take 6 prizes, you happen to win.
That's a pretty good.
So I
pretty good.
encourage you to take prizes when possible to win.
At
There
the
are other
Beach
ways
Court
to win without it,
podcast,
though.
we do condone playing control to locals. That is allowed. We encourage it. So if you would like to play control to the Cups, no harm against you, but please do.
We're teching for you. No, I mean, like, yeah. I mean, in control, it's just like, I think for control at locals, you just have to pick, like, if it's a best of one, 25 minutes, and you're
Yep.
playing against a bunch of people that are going to play, very fast, consistent decks, like a Raging Bolt or a Miraidon, then you're going to have a tough time. In longer formats, control is a little bit more of an edge there. But speaking of a deck that has a few more options, Charizard EX, I still think is a very, very good deck to play still. Again, and I think it takes very good matchups into Lost Box, as well as what's the other one? Gardevoir. Yeah, that's one. That's good. So in general, I think I'm starting to look at the list that the folks from Brazil played. William Acevedo and Pedro Petrucci had great finishes, both in the top 64 with Charizard EX. Their list is like very, very teched out, right? You got things like the Enhanced Hammer, the Temple of Sinnoh, the Jamming Tower, Collapse Stadium, Mist Energy, right? So many like teched one-ofs. If you're playing this to like a best of one, you can maybe cut some of those for a few extra consistency cards. But ultimately, I think it's like a very good and cool list. So even has the canceling Cologne, right? Very, very ready for the spread. I would go and maybe increase this list for a best of one, throw in that 4th Ino, throw in that that 3rd Iona, that 4th Arven, maybe an extra nest ball, something like that, just to help you get rolling a little bit more. In the best of ones, say, hey, I'm going to take my chances against those tougher decks and just let Charizard do busted Charizard things.
Yeah, I mean, Charizard's a strong deck. We saw both, Tord and Michael Permwatt play Charizard Dragapult deck. So Charizard's just a strong card you can put in anything and it'll do well. So excited to see at the Cups in July. If I was going to Cups in July, some decks that I would be considering is Alex Shemansky's Lugia list that we reviewed during this podcast. I think it's just strong. I mean, it's
Yeah.
something that people won't be expecting as much at locals probably. They see Lugia, they're going to be expecting Chinchinos. When you don't get a Chinchino down, they'll probably chase something and think that they're safe, and then, out of nowhere, you just bring a weird ear, bop them, Drapion, bop them, Iron Hands, bop them, like anything like that. If you're wanting to play Miraidon, just play Lugia. It's better. It's got Iron Hands in it. It does Iron Hands things. Make it happen. Um, the other deck that I would kind of try and take to locals and play is one of our friends' favorite, Goldango. I think Goldango's been in a good spot. I just wasn't able to get to a good list that I liked, so I'd probably just take JW and Jesse Parker's list and just take it and play and consistent hit big damage and do fun things. But I like both of those decks right now going into cups. So look forward to those coming up in the cups. But last but not least, our last topic of the episode is we want to highlight some upcoming events that are in the Northeast Florida area. We got a little bit of a downtime here, especially in June before Cup startup. So let's give you a couple of events. First up on the docket is this weekend on June 22nd. There is a cool 3v3 tournament at Versus Game in Oviedo, Florida. Big prize pool. Parker, I know you've been interested in this tournament. Can you share a little bit more details about kind of the format, how it works, and what the cost is?
Yeah, so basically, you've got 3v3, so you'll have player in seat A, seat B, and seat C, or maybe it's 1, 2, 3, but basically that. Players A and C cannot directly communicate with each other, but they can go like from C to B to A, and B can talk to both players. Basically, the rounds are decided on how like the games go individually. So like if player A and player C win, like the match is over basically. Like it doesn't matter what happens in player B's game. Um, but it's a really cool format. You don't see it a whole lot in Pokemon. I actually played in one like 4 years ago,
Oh
Wow.
maybe
wow.
5 years ago.
Did you win it?
Our third slept in, so the guy who was just going to hang out actually
Hmm.
had to end up playing. He played
Mm.
Pikarom and played against 4 Buzzwole decks,
That's not good.
so it was not a fun day for him.
No.
Um, but no, I think we got fifth or something, which like we needed one team to lose, and like the team that like we needed to lose,
One.
the other team was just like, "You guys can have it." I was like, "Bro,
Oh
what?"
no.
No.
um, but
Not
yeah,
the gimme.
yeah. But it's a cool format. You see it more in Yu-Gi-Oh and even Magic.
Yeah.
But it's
40
cool to
bucks,
see.
right? Per person?
$40, pretty
Yeah.
steep, but
It'd be a big prize
definitely
pool though.
a big price
Yeah,
pool.
they got
Yeah,
enough people, right? First, but for what the winning team gets 2 grand.
yeah,
That's pretty cool for like a local. So
That's
yeah.
pretty cool. So if you're in kind of the Florida area or want to have a fun tournament this weekend or competitive, or grab a couple of friends and head down to Oviedo, Florida and play in that tournament at Versus Games. The following weekend after that, we've got a case tournament at Dex and Dice tournament. Dex and Dice tournament is what they call it, in Lakeland, Florida. That's it. Where's that place called?
Dex and
Lakeland.
dice.
Perfect. It's at Dex
Yeah.
and Dice in Lakeland, Florida. I haven't been there yet. Sounds cool. Best of 3 50 minutes for case tournament. So if you're in the area, head down there. It'll be a fun one. Max, are you planning on heading down to that one?
I'm thinking about it. Still got to figure out the little travel schedule, but I feel like I can never go too long without traveling somewhere to play Pokemon. So I always try to find a spot to go someplace, sometimes in the state or a few hours away, just to get that little Pokemon itch going.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully, I'll be able to make it to that one as well. We'll see. All right, so last couple of dates we have for you. They will not be in the month of June, but they're coming up. So we have a tentative date for the next Beach Court Podcast Jam at the Wokey Pokey on August 3rd. It'll be similar to what we did for New Orleans. It'll be Worlds format. The new cards will be allowed. Proxies will be allowed. Similar rules. We'll have more details hopefully next episode, but stay tuned for more details on that. And the next thing that I have to say about an important date, and this is going to shock some of you, we are coming up on our 1 year anniversary, boys. We are 2 episodes away from our 1 year anniversary. So on July 18th, a month from now, we'll have our 1 year anniversary episode. And I want to hear from you guys. Tell me about what your favorite moment on the Beach Court podcast has been down below in the comments. Parker, what's been your favorite moment on the podcast so far?
I didn't get to experience this really, but hearing you guys say like, "Yo," some guy was like, "Yo, I listen to y'all's podcast," or like
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which I went to Orlando. I had one opponent say they heard the podcast, and then like I got someone else to like subscribe. But like
Yeah.
you guys went to like, what did you say, like 17 or 18 events this
I
year, or
went to a lot.
something
Yeah.
crazy like that.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's
definitely been cool.
yeah, that's been my favorite, just hearing that.
Yeah,
Nice.
just
What's
being
been
out in
your
the
favorite?
community. I mean, yeah, just being out in the community and like seeing those folks that are, fans of the pod that are enjoying, that have been for the journey along with us, and seeing everyone. I mean, again, other cool moments. I mean, it's just been like nice to see the growth, right? We've had a bunch of great guests on, a bunch of, people that we've known and have, grown friends with and have continued to have out at events and things like that. I don't know. It's hard to say. There's been a lot of great stuff.
There's been a lot
I
of
wasn't
good
prepared
stuff.
for the segment. There's so
That's the
much.
point, man. I want to catch you off guard. Maybe we'll put a nice compilation of like some, pieces throughout the year. I'll put a nice little video out or something. We'll do some cool. If you have any ideas about some cool things to do for our 1 year anniversary to celebrate, we'll definitely have some giveaways. But if you're still listening to us, we really appreciate you. Can't do it without you. Please like, comment, and subscribe below. It helps us out so much. What we're trying to do, we got big things planned. I know personally for me, one of my favorite moments of this year was just all the top 8 interviews, were really special, from Nick Moffat to Adam Reinhardt to LDF, just having him on the channel and top it off at the end of the year, we had Andrew Hedrick, our North American International Championship on here last week. And that was a special episode. And I can't sign off without saying that one of our own, Maddox Corcoran, got top 4 this year. And it was just great to be there with you, Maddox, and bring that experience to our podcast, and people come here to hear from you. And hopefully one day one of us will win worlds and we'll be here kind of having the same kind of conversation. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Beach Court podcast. We'll be back in 2 weeks this time with some more news about Shredded Fable, kind of give you some of our intake on that set with some of our practice over the last couple of weeks. But thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you in 2 weeks, guys.